Greetings. This is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. Little update with happenings going on in the Middle East. We are Thursday, October 19, 2023, Gregorian time. Today, a hospital, Hamas and media, Lebanon and Hezbollah, iron beam and lasers, Lawless in Europe, Russia, and China. So just it's kind of obvious. It's up here on the banner. Habakkuk 1, verse 5, look among the nations and see wonder and be astounded. This is God talking, for I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told. It kind of makes you feel like that's a time we're living in, especially with all the happenings taking place. We're going to start with one of the 10 commandments, Exodus 20, verse 16, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And let's start with the fine folks at the mainstream media. And they wonder why some of us don't find them credible. And these are the same people who lecture the world about fact checkers and truth. I mean, they are moral clarity. To listen to them, they get on their high horse and puff up. And I'll be darned if a couple of nights ago, the world was led to believe that Israel had bombed a hospital in the Gaza Strip, killing over 500 and destroying the hospital. Now, the incident occurred in the dark of the night, and doggone it, the sun came up, and then we could see what happened. And this is a tweet or a zeet from Israel Defense Forces, and they go right at the heart of the matter. The BBC claims to be impartial and independent. Let's stop right there with the BBC. And they've got their own little internal debate going on over there in the UK. We got Prince William, King Charles, and Prime Minister Sunak. Now, they are willing to call what's going on with Hamas terrorism or terrorists. The BBC will not label this as terrorism or Hamas as a terrorist organization. So that's part of the issue going on. Now, the BBC was unable to verify claims about the bombing of this hospital. They were blaming it on Israel. I mean, they took the good word of Hamas. I mean, I know I'd trust Hamas if they came to me and said, hey, this is the truth. But they chose to believe Hamas, a genocidal terrorist organization. Daniel Hagari, a spokesman for the IDF, says communication from Gaza discussed misfired rocket. Well, we've got that here at Paul the Poke. We're going to get to listen to that here in a little bit. The BBC has not been able to verify Hagari's claims. Hundreds of people have been killed in an Israeli strike on a hospital in Gaza, according to Palestinian officials. So let's take the words of the Palestinians. Okay. Let's not fact check anything or do a little homework. Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett took to X, and he posted some comments and directed specifically at the New York Times. Shame on you, he says. Yesterday at 6:59 p.m., Islamic Jihad fired a barrage of around 10 rockets toward Israel. One of the rockets misfired, fairly common event, he says, and hit the parking lot of a hospital, killing many innocent people. And we'll take this up here a little bit further. Actually, I may have missed up there. Hamas, and his point is to look at the headlines. Israeli strike kills hundreds in hospital, Palestinians say. At least 500 dead in strike on Gaza hospital, Palestinians say. At least 500 dead in blast at Gaza hospital, Palestinians say. So they run with it. Put it out there. This is what happened. But, like we said, sun came up, shed some light on the situation, and then we got some evidence being presented by the IDF, as well as some others. So, and the IDF, now they have timestamps, GPS coordinates. We'll get this rolling right here. Outlines of building structures are provided as well. A failed rocket launch by Islamic Jihad terrorist organization hit the Al Ali Hospital in Gaza City. Israel Air Force footage from the area around the hospital before and after the failed rocket launch by Islamic Jihad terrorist organization. So here's like the before, here's the after. And so we will run this. And they're also showing different examples of craters caused by Israeli Air Force ordnance. So what happened was actually much smaller. And also heard some discussions about the type of shrapnel that was involved in the explosion. And it was consistent with Hamas type ordnance versus the shrapnel in the Israeli missiles is different. So looking specifically at the parking lot and the timestamps, you got those marked. Also, you have GPS coordinates where the event took place as well. So you have that piece of it. Maxar Technologies, space technology company headquartered in Westminster, Colorado, specializing in manufacturing, communication, Earth observation, radar, and on-orbit servicing satellites, satellite products, and related services. And this is they had some information provided. Now this is where we'll go up here to Colin Rugg. My mistake. 2 senior U.S. officials claim an independent assessment of the Gaza hospital explosion shows a misfired Palestinian Islamic Jihad group rocket hit the hospital. Now, even NBC's on board now that some of the evidence is coming out, suggests the satellite imagery of the blast shows it wasn't as destructive as originally thought. I mean, that's saying something, because y'all remember back in the day with Stone Phillips and what was it, Dateline, and they put explosives and to make things look bigger than they were. I mean, they've had their own issues with honesty and reporting and so forth. But much of the damage from the rocket occurred in the main parking area. So they blew up a parking lot, effectively, is what happened. Satellite images show probable discolored blast area in the main parking area of the hospital, said defense contractor Maxar Technologies. The imagery did not show significant structural damage to nearby buildings. And he says, isn't that odd? So here's some of the stuff. Let's back this up. This is footage. Blew several cars up. I'm sure there were some people who were there who unfortunately probably perished. But the hospital did not take a direct hit. Some of the stuff I was reading said that some of the windows and stained glass were taken out, but nobody inside the hospital was harmed from what I was able to find. Not that that's an exhaustive list, but like any of this stuff, check it out for yourselves. I mean, we are living in an age of deception, and you got to really try to put a real honest foot forward as to what's actually happening out there. Look at it from as many different angles as possible to make sense of it. And so again, we're looking at and this is where things, where windows were blown out inside. It looks like that's a local church. I don't know if that was part of the hospital or not, but I don't think so. But anyway, look into it yourself. Do your own homework. Get you guys some resources, and hopefully you can take it from there and dig a little deeper. And with that, this is a Hamas communication. Now this one, and this would be my opinion. I think it was an accident. Now some people are out there saying that that Hamas fired the rocket on the hospital, which we clearly see that the hospital was not hit. Parking lot was hit, and that they staged the whole accident and they killed a bunch of their own people. Now, that's not to say they're not capable of doing that. That's not the point. I don't think that's how it happened. I think it was a bad missile went up, circled around, and happened to land in the parking lot of a hospital. So Islamic Jihad struck a hospital in Gaza. The IDF did not. And this is a Zeet from Israel Defense Forces. Listen to the terrorists as they realize this themselves. I'll play it. We'll read it, telling you this is the first time we see a missile like this falling. And so that's why we are saying it belongs to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. What? They're saying it belongs to the Islamic Jihad. It's from us, the other guy says. It looks like it. Who says this? They're saying that from the shrapnel missile is not like Israeli shrapnel. Then there's like, uh-oh, we got a problem. But God bless it, couldn't have been found another place to explode. Never mind, yes, they shot it from the cemetery behind the hospital. So they know where it came from. What? Shot it from behind the cemetery, and it misfired and fell on them. Hmm. Another guy didn't even know there's a cemetery. And then he knows where the compound is where they've been launching missiles. Um, on the right side of the hospital. Yeah, now he knows. Yeah, I know it. Doggone it. So they're able to break into their communications, and I'm trusting that the Israelis um, can understand, Arabic. I may be getting duped. Who knows? But went to a lot of effort to get that out there. Um, so we're also gonna from there shift to the north, up to the northern border with Lebanon and Hezbollah. Rocket and missile fire continues to steadily increase on the northern border between Israel and Hezbollah. And this happened today. Hamas terror branch in Lebanon claims responsibility for firing 30 rockets at northern Israel. Several impacts reported. IDF responds with more artillery at sources of fire. Fighting on the northern front intensifies every day. And when this happened today, oil shot up a couple of bucks real quick. Because the concern is that this is spreading. You got a couple of things happening. If Hezbollah gets involved in the north, and then at some point there's going to be a ground invasion in Gaza, and not good. And Hezbollah, they are continually taking responsibility for multiple attacks on the border with Israel in the north. It's almost like they're trying to draw Israel into the mix more, get them going on two fronts. Yeah, we did it, they say. We take responsibility for whatever happens. This is from Iran Observer. This is Iranian news. This is pretty sophisticated, and they got some good music with it for the impact of it. Hezbollah. This is from Hezbollah. We targeted the fortifications of the Al Abad site belonging to the Israeli army with appropriate weapons, achieving direct and confirmed hits. And this is the video from the tweet up above about the 30 missiles coming in. So the equipment's a little better with Hezbollah than what it is down there in Hamas. And these are Israeli targets, and they've got their proof. Would be Israeli communications taking a direct hit, and they've got 2 or 3 of these things they've put up. Other stuff they've hit, other locations. Not good. I mean, it's going to escalate, or it appears it's going to escalate. The United States, United Kingdom, and German governments are recommending to their citizens to get out of Lebanon as soon as possible. Take the link here to Zero Hedge up above. Oh, got a glitch here in the matrix. There we go. U.S. Embassy tells Americans in Lebanon, get out while you still can, as 20 Hezbollah rockets land on Israel. So that's been anywhere estimated from 20 to 30. And we allegedly have the video of that from Iranian news. IDF said one of its tanks shelled 2 anti-tank guided missile launch positions in southern Lebanon. A third site was struck following a missile attack on the northern town of Metula. So, action escalating in the north. We recommend that U.S. citizens in Lebanon make appropriate arrangements to leave the country. Commercial options remain currently remain available. And the United States government has proven they're not going to help you out of there. They rented a cruise ship to get some people out of Israel to Cyprus, and then they had to find their way home. Our government, little sidebar here, we're spending billions upon billions of dollars on Ukraine. We're going to give some to Israel, other countries, immigrants coming in over the border, handing them out $80,000 to $100,000 worth of benefits. Come on in. And then we just dump on our own citizens. Find your way home. I mean, and these are the people, we're the people paying the taxes that make this possible. Well, leadership doesn't seem to care about that in the United States, but I digress and get back to the news. British embassy told its citizens, if you're currently in Lebanon, we encourage you to leave now while commercial options remain available. Looks like we coordinated the message. British nationals should exercise caution and avoid areas where demonstrations may be held. And I think Germany has also joined the same thing. Hey, get out of there while you can. And here's the statement from the government. Travel.state.gov. Highest level 4, do not travel to Lebanon. Don't go. Here are the travel advisory levels. 1, exercise normal precautions. Up to 4, do not travel. And we are now at do not travel. Worldwide, caution level 3 has been initiated. Concerns for terrorism. They've even talked about that here in the United States. Be on alert. Pay attention. Do not travel to, even the border with Syria, border with Israel, refugee settlements, terrorism and armed conflict, armed clashes. Do not travel to Lebanon due to the unpredictable security situation related to rocket, missile, and artillery exchanges between Israel, Hezbollah, or other armed militant factions. Reconsider travel to Lebanon due to terrorism, civil unrest, armed conflict, crime, kidnapping, and Embassy Beirut's limited capacity to provide support to U.S. citizens. So don't go to Lebanon. That's pretty much what they're telling you. There's a summary of Lebanon. I'll spare everybody. And then it breaks it down a little bit more specific. Border with Syria, why? They give like a little paragraph of reasons why. Same with border with Israel and refugee settlements. So again, links provided. State Department issuing don't go to Lebanon. Now, this was very disturbing. As I was putting this together, this popped up a couple, 3 hours ago now. Breaking: a U.S. Navy warship intercepted multiple projectiles near the coast of Yemen, 2 officials told CNN. Again, Iranian terrorists in action. Unification of the fronts. Gaza skirmishes now with Hezbollah, Iraq, Syria, now Yemen. I'm not going to cover what's happened out there on the Euphrates River, Iraqi-Syrian border. Iraqi militants have fired on U.S. bases out there on the Euphrates River that borders Iraq and Syria. So that would be southeast Syria, I believe. Eir Dezor, I believe it is. That lots of stuff's been happening there for quite some time. And I suppose I could report on that, because that eventually the Euphrates River will be the eastern border of what God promised the land to Israel. That has never been realized. So if you are interested, you could click on CNN.com. U.S. Navy warship near Yemen intercepts multiple missiles. Okay. And then this is just a review. Israel under attack as of today, October 19, 1,400 murdered, 4,300 injured, 203 hostages, 7,300 launches toward Israel. Uh, Again, the data is constantly being updated through processes of identification. So, with that, we're going to transition to Isaiah 54, verse 17. No weapon that is formed against you will succeed. When we saw that earlier, when the missile went the wrong direction, ended up back in a parking lot. And you will condemn every tongue that accuses you in judgment. BBC, New York Times, CNN, all you mainstream media people, you will be condemned if you accuse in judgment inaccurately. Something to think about. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me, declares the Lord. And we're going to introduce the Iron Beam laser interceptor. Now, it's not been confirmed if Iron Beam is currently being utilized. Here is a video. This is from European Ministry of Truth, and I've got the this device. Um, Missile for Iron Dome is about $50,000 a pop. A laser beam costs as low as $2. 100 kilowatts of power, 100 times more power than the average home. Um, it's not perfect, and they got some work to do with this. This is about a 5-minute video. Now it cannot reach Iran, um, but it does address some things in the field. We got all sorts of different countries trying to develop laser technologies, including the United States, Russia, and China. Now, currently, this one that Israel has does not have the range of the missiles, and they're going to go into some of the specifics on that. So, if you guys want to listen to this and watch this, again, it's about a 5-minute video. And there's some limitations just with light and how the beam, the further out it goes, disperses more, so it loses a little bit of its power of the punch. But as you can see, and I've read some of this stuff, as they say, the missile is no match for the laser. It does take a little bit longer to lock onto an object or a missile or a drone or whatever. I think it takes up to 5 seconds, where at this time, Iron Dome is a little quicker and has more range. So, um, he's one of the fellows here that helped with development, understands it. But I'll let you guys get into that and read that or watch it. Interesting stuff. So, and here's the link, raphael.co.il, world's land iron beam uh, is the device. So, also, President Biden, in transition to some of the politics associated with all this, President Biden made the flight to Israel. He lasted a whole 7 hours over there, a little bit longer than 7 hours. Uh, show the highlights here. He's boarded Air Force One. He's headed home. Good news, he did make it up and down the short uh, steps in Air Force One. Uneventful. Nothing happened. I take Sky News. Sky News is very harsh on the president and pretty critical of him. So up he goes on Air Force One. And I want to say, saw some other stuff too. Air Force One was flanked by, holy cow, a squadron of jets that flew over Egypt. They flew They flew low enough everybody can see what it was, which I thought it's pretty bold. Um, but I think if anybody would have done anything, it would not have been a good move for whoever did that. Now, the end result of that, now, President Biden is speaking as I'm putting this out. I have no idea what he's going to tell people. Here's the link. This is the end result of it. This is supposed to be released tomorrow. This is from NBC News. Biden expected to seek 60 billion for Ukraine and aid for Israel in $100 billion funding request. Now, As of now, the Republicans cannot elect a speaker, so we have this kinda temporary speaker, the guy behind McCarthy, and I suspect they're gonna jam this thing through because was it Representative Gates, um, and they voted to vacate the leader, the speaker. It appears he didn't have a plan in place, just ticked off, and he did it, and now we're kinda stuck with what we got. Um, the House is expected Friday to submit to Congress a supplemental funding request. Now, read closely, that will also seek money for Taiwan. Hello? We're gonna start giving money to Taiwan. Makes you wonder what's coming with Taiwan and China and the US-Mexico border, sources said. Um, Not yet finalized supplemental funding package, $60 billion for Ukraine. Um, the rest will include roughly $40 billion to provide aid to Israel, Taiwan. Lord, we're gonna have nonsense going on 3 fronts, it sounds like here before too long. And for crying out loud, a fourth with the US-Mexico border. Said 4 sources directly involved in the process. Well, they fact checked that one, didn't they? They got 4 people to verify this. Huh. Make sure you get that right. Um, top lawmakers could be made aware of the contours of the request as soon as Wednesday. Well, didn't happen. So that will probably be requested. He probably made his case tonight to the American people. Uh, you know, it says here, and I've heard the numbers higher. U.S. has so far provided more than $75 billion military, humanitarian, financial aid to Kyiv. Biden administration has asked Congress for billions more. So I mean, I suspect they're going to get their way on it. So give them another 60 billion. I've heard the numbers as high total money to Ukraine, close to 200 billion. It's just like, and the thing of it is, although they're not printing more money, they're issuing more debt. I mean, the amount of debt that is being issued is crazy. We're going to come close to almost issuing, what was it, 600 billion since they lifted that. We're barreling toward 34 trillion in debt. Interest rates are going up on the debt. We're over 5% now. Mortgage rates, because of this, are now over 8%. So it's like mortgage payments have doubled because of all this debt being issued. And China's dumping debt. We got a problem economically, which that's going to rear its head at some point. Amazing it hasn't yet. After the United States front will transfer to the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak visited Israel. Now, the UK is providing military support and naval resources to the Eastern Mediterranean. I think a couple of those ships are like floating hospitals, if I'm not mistaken. He put a Z out there. I'm in Israel, a nation in grief. I grieve with you and stand with you against the evil that is terrorism. Now, he has no problem calling it terrorism. BBC will not. And from there, 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 7, for the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he, capital H, who now restrains will do so until he is removed. Now, I'm controversial here of the opinion that is a reference to the resurrection and rapture of believers, and that he is the Spirit of God, that as believers, we house the Spirit. Collectively, the Spirit of God is here on the planet in the believers of Christ. And, this is dating back to close to 2,000 years now from when Paul wrote this. And the mystery of lawlessness was already at work then. Well, it's progressively gotten worse. And we think this is a mess now. Wait until the Spirit of God is removed at the resurrection and the rapture of believers in Jesus. the levels of lawlessness, I suspect, will be unimaginable compared to what we're seeing now. And I had a pastor once upon a time. He's like, it's kind of like the stench in a nasty old trash can with all that trash in there rotting. And, there's a crack in the trash can. Well, at some point, the lid will be off and it will be allowed to proliferate. You think it smells bad now? This is the scene across Europe. Riots are breaking out in Germany. Berlin's a mess. France and the United Kingdom. Situation in Berlin is out of control. Usual suspects attacked the police with fireworks, clubs, stones, destroyed vehicles, uh, blockades and fires in the streets, Molotov cocktails. And it's caused by uncontrolled illegal immigration. It's not complicated. And you can get on X every day and watch this happening in major European cities. Like here's Berlin, Paris has the problem, London has a problem every day. Every day. From Europe, we're going to transition a little bit further east. Well, I guess this would be technically Northern Europe. This is from Visegrad, Eastern European News. Breaking. Nobody's talking about this. We got some issues going on here, and this is a big deal, but we got other stuff overshadowing it. Just with the news flow, Sweden announces that the Baltic Sea submarine cable, that's this blue one right here, has been sabotaged between Sweden and Estonia. And we covered this last week, this gas pipeline from Finland, from Inku, Finland to Paldiski, Estonia. That line's been tampered with. Finland is pointing fingers at Russia. Russia's had ships in the area. Russia's quiet, of course, saying nothing, or I haven't seen them saying anything. But Finland is complaining. Sweden's probably complaining. So's Estonia. Estonia's probably got to wonder, like, probably punishment for leaving the Soviet Union. But we're messing with resources and natural gas. And that's a main line that connects Finland, providing natural gas to Western Europe and parts of Eastern Europe as well. So, again, trying to bypass Russia as a source for resources, fuel, keep warm during the winter, which winter is coming. So keep an eye on that in the Baltic Sea. And today we had a bromance in Beijing. Russian President Vladimir Putin made the trip to Beijing to meet his, quote, dear friend, Chinese President Xi Jinping. The occasion was the Third Belt and Road Forum. We're going to go to CNBC, take a look at this. There it is. Biden asked Congress for urgent budget request. Support Israel. Oh, yeah, probably Ukraine there. But there the buddies are. Putin meets dear friend Xi in Beijing. Top 3 takeaways. Oh, dear friend, they met in the Kremlin, March of this year. Deepening bilateral ties between the two countries, along with their growing alliance against the United States and other major democracies. That'd be Western Europe. Putin has been able to count on Xi for support in its Ukraine invasion. And they will discuss the war, the Israel-Hamas war. They're going to talk about it. We're not going to tell you what they talk about, but they're talking about it. 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative Forum. Dear friend, I'm very glad to see you again. Under the difficult present-day conditions, it is particularly relevant to maintain close foreign policy coordination, something we are doing now. Thank you, Vladimir. Xi, when the world is doing well, only then will China do well. When China is doing well, the world will do even better. Okay, thanks. Let's keep these guys happy. And I saw, what was it? Russia's trying to build a massive pipeline to ship oil and natural gas to China. Their hope is to eventually ship as much natural gas east as they had shipped natural gas west to Europe, which I can't believe they didn't do that before. There are just way more people in China. I don't understand why that never dawned on them to send their resources east instead of west. They're going to sell more, and I just don't know why that didn't register. But anyway, Putin traveled to Beijing knowing Xi would guarantee his safety, because there are some people, like some countries, who are wanting to arrest Putin as a war criminal. So he's been kind of staying in Mother Russia for a while. Again, they're going to talk about Ukraine war. China supports the Russian people in pursuing the path of national rejuvenation independently and safeguarding national sovereignty, security, and developmental interests. Official statement from Xi. And Chinese companies are supporting Russia's military with drones. I mean, they're getting drones from Iran, Turkey, and China. And they're flying them all over the place. What is it? 2021 EU imported $75 billion worth of oil from Russia. About cut in half since then. Russia brought a large delegation, which include Rosneft and Gazprom. Major deals, no major deals were expected to be signed. We got some gentlemen's agreements and handshakes under the table probably taking place, though. China hopes that the China-Mongolia-Russia natural gas pipeline project will make substantive progress as soon as possible. Let's get that going, Vlad. Xi needs gas. In regards to the Israel-Hamas war, an in-depth exchange of views on the Palestinian-Israeli situation, they said. It's a joint statement. They have yet to come up with a peace initiative. Added that Israel's ground operation in the Gaza Strip is fraught with dire consequences, so don't do it, they both say. I think it's imminent. They have 300,000, Israelis have 300,000 ground troops down there toward the south. And once that starts, that's going to be ugly, because those guys are, Hamas is hiding out in tunnels and buildings, and you're going building to building, and not good. Not good. And they think Israel's actions have gone beyond self-defense and should heed the call of the international community and the Secretary General of the United Nations to stop its collective punishment of the people in Gaza. Some would argue that what Israel is doing is called self-defense. And they're not choir boys. I get plenty of feedback from this, too, from folks out there. Hey, Israel's not perfect. They're not. But, when I was talking with a good friend this week, when you box somebody in a fence, a 3 mile by 27 mile pen, effectively, you don't let them out and limit resources. As my friend put it, he says, that dog staying in that pen, he's going to get out and he's probably going to bite at some point. And you can't blame him. But, at the core of it, somebody's going to have to be willing to play nice. Now, I get it when one party, and it's in part of their declaring documents, their little constitution, if you will. One of their stated goal is to shove Israel into the sea and kill all the Jews. I don't know that you can negotiate with that and talk with that, if that's their line of thinking. And imagine this: China and Russia are taking sides against the United States. We don't need to get into that. That's pretty obvious. And China's post-pandemic reopening to multilateral symmetry is the main political message of the Third Belt and Road Forum for international cooperation. And they're going to get it. And that's another thing China's doing. China is the world's largest producer of gold as far as mining. They mine more gold than anybody else on the planet. Their central bank is buying more gold than anybody else on the planet. And all of these BRICS companies, their central banks are buying precious metals, gold, silver. They have all the metals and all the elements for EV, electrical vehicles, lithium, oil. I mean, they're going to end up producing, it's close to 50% right now. By the time they take on more oil producing countries, that could reach as high as 75% of the oil producing countries in the world will be part of the BRICS group. And they just have more people. They get their act together. I mean, the West, Western Europe, the United States, Canada, arguably Australia, they're going to find themselves isolated. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but they are trying to back their currencies in regards to real resources, real commodities. And that's going to be a problem. You know, our dollar is based on the good word of the United States federal government. I mean, that's got to make you feel good, doesn't it? And it's the world's trust in the American people to be productive. That's what we've got going for us. Is historically we've been innovators and hard workers. And with that, we'll transition to China's real estate concerns in the economy. This is from the Kobeissi letter. I'll jump up here. Had a bank run earlier this week in China at the Bank of Guangzhou on fears that the collapse of Evergrande made the bank insolvent. A couple of months ago, China's largest property developer, Evergrande, filed Chapter 15 bankruptcy. This week, Country Garden, another major Chinese developer, missed a debt payment. And China's real estate index is down approximately 85% from its high. So the Chinese view real estate as their main tool of wealth, if you will. Whereas in the United States, we like stocks, equities, and so forth. We look at the stock market. China looks at their real estate. It's what they value. Housing alone counts for 25% of China's entire GDP. It's a big deal. Seems to be heading for a recession in China. Seems to be, they say. And here's the article. This is from AsiaTimes.com. Evergrande bankruptcy fears a spark on a bank run in China. And again, it's Evergrande is the issue. Hundreds of people have queued up at the Bank of Guangzhou's head office in Hebei province to get their deposits out of the bank since October 7th, according to photos and videos circulated on social media. I'm sorry, this is funny. However, Chinese media reports said the bank statement and a cash wall have so far failed to assuage its depositors. Cash walls are commonly seen as corporate events, such as a delivery of annual bonuses. So looky there. They've got a bunch of cash. Look at that stack of cash. Wouldn't that make you all feel safe? I mean, they got a big pile of money there, like a little pyramid. And so that's presented like, hey, we got this covered. And it looks like paper towels just stacked up there, or napkins. Don't worry about it. We got a big wall of cash there. It's all going to be okay. Seems to have worked. You haven't heard anything else about it. The overall risk, I love the experts. The experts are weighing in China. The overall risk is controllable and will not have a significant impact on the bank's operations. So don't worry about it. We got this covered. Anyway, so that's what we got going on. That's plenty for about the last 4 days. And again, probably waiting, have something come out when the ground invasion of Gaza begins. Could be another tipping point with some other things, other people responding. We'll see what happens. That could be an interesting day when that does happen and go down. So appreciate you guys taking the time to follow along. If you are not a subscriber, type your email address here. And the email address, hit subscribe. You'll receive a notification every time we put something out. WordPress does not sell email, so haven't had any complaints. They've been keeping their word on that. That's good. Be filed under Gaza Strip, Philistia, prophecy trend update. A lot happening this week. So appreciate you guys taking the time. Please feel free, share this with others. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.